So our next domain is the protection of information assets, and for those who are not from technical background, as you know, CISA certification is not only pursued but by technical IT people, but also by accountant who need, or people with financial auditing background and need to gain more information about information system auditing. So domain number 5 is one of the challenging domain from their perspective, but I believe it will be easy from your perspective. By the way, domain number 5 is the biggest domain in the CISA. It represents 27% from total exam questions, which around 38 questions in the exam. The content is the information security attacks, information security, what does InfoSec and the privacy means, physical security considerations and environmental controls, identity and access management, and AAA. We are just exploring what is the concept of AAA, multi-factor authentication, SSO, and so on. Network security, like introducing what is a firewall and what firewall are used, what is the DMZ, what is the honeypot, and so on. Data encryption and public key infrastructure, which is, let's say, the most part that you could expect where the question to come during the exam, because it asks about the private key, public key, and what is the reason for public key infrastructure, digital signature, code signing, hashing versus encoding. But we will try to simplify all of these concepts as much as I can. And lastly, we will discuss information security management overview in like an overview or in the context of the speaking. So information security function is distinct or different from information technology, because information security want to secure the things while information technology want to get the things done. That's why when we was discussing the conflict of interest, we discussed that CISO should not relay or should not be report to the CIO, because they have two different concerns to take care about. Like CIO is caring about to get the thing done and get the project completed as fast as it could, but InfoSec want to secure, so it will detect the vulnerabilities, detect the issues, want to make the project delay because we need to run extra security assessments, and so on. Information security should be governed in the organization, and we can ensure that InfoSec governance is in place by having policies and procedures, by taking the senior management or guaranteeing senior management sponsorship and support for the security program, by conducting security awareness training, by having a clear organizational structure and clear rules and responsibilities that define security responsibilities in the organization, by having incident handling and response process, by having monitoring and compliance, monitoring for compliance and monitoring for internal systems, and by adopting risk management as part of the source or implementing a good risk management practices. Here I'm just mentioning the security rule should be defined. Security need to be consulted and engaged in the project from early stage. While security is everyone's responsibility, but the board of directors owns the ultimate responsibility. So I'm just highlighting the key parts. Information assurance refers that if we have information security team and cybersecurity team that are working together, we will have or we will achieve what is called the information assurance. And information security in general care about how to secure digital and non-digital assets, while cybersecurity team care about how to secure digital assets only. What we mean here is, remember when we was discussing the security auditing, we were discussing how to ensure that HR is performing their duties in terms of information security by implementing a process for onboarding new employees, deliver security awareness training to them, do a kind of background check on the new hires. This is all part of InfoSec, but it is not related with digital assets. So this is the concern of InfoSec, because InfoSec care about digital and non-digital assets, while cybersecurity is an example for IT security team. network security team, application security team. They look to the security from only the digital perspective or the digital concept. By the way, the old synonym or the old name of cybersecurity was the digital security. So at the beginning, it called digital security. After then, the cybersecurity naming was more attractive for media and news and so on. So that's why it is called now cybersecurity, but originally from historical perspective, it called the digital security. Information assurance is achieved by ensuring that both InfoSec and cybersecurity are doing their missions, and information assurance could be a separate function in the organization, and it will care about developing BCP and DRP, and it could have a broader and more strategic focused objective. What does security offer? I believe we discussed the concept of confidentiality, integrity, availability, authentication, and non-repudiation. By having a security team in your organization, you will ensure that data will have an optimum level of confidentiality. So data either in rest or in transit or in motion will be secured. We will apply encryption on data at rest and data in motion and the data in use, to ensure that data confidentiality will not be exposed while processing this data, such as we are migrating that data from old system to a new system. The existence of security function will ensure that data will not be exposed during the migration process, for example. Integrity means that data is accurate, so we have a kind of controls that ensure data is integral and not tampered with. So data will be somehow accurate and trusted. Availability is that system is always available, and by having RTO, RPO, BCP, DRP, backup, and understanding the clustering failover, we can ensure the availability at some extent. Authentication is the ability for system to identify, authenticate the users, and based on this we can do a kind of authorization, and we can also capture audit trails to support the non-repudiation or to support the accountability for activity on this system. We also need to differentiate between the term security and privacy, as security care about confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and it aims to prevent unauthorized access to the data owned by organization, while the privacy is a right for the data subject. I am, as a user or a client for a certain company, need my data to be confidential, need my data to not be used in any unknown matter than which we was discussing or than which we provided this data originally to do. So privacy is always related to data subject, and we mentioned the data subject as the one who this data is about. So we don't see the data owner, the data user, we say the data subject, because in security we use the term subject more than the term user, because in security the subject can be someone and it can be something as well. So we can look at the data subject as an organization. In this case, it will be the entity which this data is about.